Hello, I'm Fodhla from Ulster University Business School, and welcome back to our second episode of our Sustainability Socials. Looking after our people and planet is everyone's responsibility, including all businesses. Now, some businesses specialise in that, in looking after people, planet, and of course, profit to keep going. We invited some of those businesses onto campus over the past couple of months to share their stories. So today I'm joined by Tracy Tsang, PhD researcher at Ulster University, Sarah Hoppe from So Ready in Lisburn, and Rachel McIlgorm from StoryBox Northern Ireland. You're all very welcome.
Thank you.
So let's start with you, Rachel. Would you introduce your business to us?
Yeah, so as you said, I'm Rachel, founder of StoryBox NICIC, which is a registered social enterprise, and it's all about bringing together lots of ethical, local business, social enterprise goods all in one place as a kind of online one-stop shop. Also have a walk-in shop now, and yeah, basically about just trying to get people to support local in a really easy, meaningful way.
The brick and mortar shop has opened recently and it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
And yourself then, Sarah?
Yes, so I'm Sarah Hoppe, founder of So Ready CIC. So just like Rachel, we're also a community interest company, which we are a not-for-profit sewing school based in Lisburn. We're teaching children as young as 6 years old, right up to elderly people who we're teaching them sewing skills, both in hand sewing and machine sewing.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And also a very beautiful venue you've got full of light, beautiful white sewing machines all around the room. It's amazing. Oh, of course, one here. And lovely location you've got there in Lisburn, and a very warm welcome for everybody coming in. So thank you for that. And Tracy.
Hi, I have just started my PhD research in creative arts and sustainability.
And you have been working very hard on a recent campaign. Do you want to mention that?
Yes, so I am a member of Sure Optimus International Belfast. If you don't mind, I'll just show this to you. So this is for the 16 days of activism to end violence against women from the 25th of November to the 10th of December. And what we did was we partnered with Women's Aid and also White Ribbon to really raise awareness about violence against women. And these banners were all made from shirt fabrics and some
nice upcycle.
Yes, using upcycled fabrics and all, and there's curtain fabric and all, and they're all handmade by individuals in the community. This banner in particular has been made by two ladies in the Central Library in their knit and natter, so their names are Pat and Adeline, so they hand sew these. There's a lot more in the news. Since 2020, 24 women and 1 man have been murdered as a result of domestic abuse and violence. And even just in a period of 3 weeks, there were 6 people. And there are over 35,000 reports to the police about domestic abuse and violence, and that is just the people that actually report it. Women's Aid would say that on average a woman or a man may be assaulted 35 times before they would even tell anybody, if they tell anybody at all. So we just feel that it's an important message to share and to give people, signpost them to the right services if and when they need them.
And for such a distressing topic, you've created such beauty around it to sort of help people to engage with talking about it.
Yes, so we organised some public workshops in community centres and women's centres and knit and natter groups and all just around the Belfast city. And what we wanted to do was to share positive messages to encourage women who maybe experience domestic violence and abuse. So where they might be told that it's their fault or, you make me do it and all, we wanted to say that we listen and we believe you and it's not your fault and that you're beautiful and that there is really no excuse for abuse.
And that seeing and hearing that real lived experience is really important for all of us humans, isn't it? To be seen and to be heard.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big difference from sending somebody an email, isn't it?
Yes.
So, and that's really what all of the sustainability socials, or the social sustainability, is all about, is, recognizing how we connect as human beings and how we need that connection. So thank you for your work that you're doing in that area. So over to you, Sarah. Tell us a little bit about your story. What are you doing?
So Ready we are a social enterprise. We are trying to bring sewing back into communities. So sewing was very prominent in schools. It was very prominent in the home. But as technology kind of came in, I suppose, when those skills were brought, basically those skills are almost forgotten and disregarded, taken out of school curriculums, and they were almost lost. Northern Ireland was one of the biggest producers of thread. We have the barber mills. We produce thread for all over the world, for military, for everything, and all those mills are closed. And when those factories were shut down, we lost a lot of workers, garment factory workers, and the skills weren't kept alive. I suppose now with sustainability on the rise and people looking to see how they can actually look after their clothes, in particular, fashion being one of the biggest polluters, second biggest polluter in the world, people are looking at how actually where their clothes come from, what they're wearing, the fabrics, and actually how they can be basically contributors to, or how they can be part of the solution rather than just contributors to a fast growing polluter. So actually by taking ownership of your clothes and taking up a new skill set such as sewing, you can actually have an impact on how you can shape the rest of your future, just by even simply knowing how to sew on a button. Everybody knows that whenever you have a really nice shirt or a really nice dress and the button falls off, it's such a pain every time you go to wear that. You go, oh, I really need to fix that. And maybe perhaps you actually have never been taught how to sew on a button, and that's where we come into play. We are first and foremost a social enterprise. Community is our first focus, but we are here as a gateway between education and industry. So we're trying to upskill young generations to become new makers of fashion, so that they can actually pave the way for basically for the next generations to come, and saying actually no, sewing is really important. We would like, and what we are doing at the moment is we make these different, like you'll see at the front, like little plushies. So we inspire children to learn how to sew through playful learning. That's mostly our theme. So
that's one of them here, is it?
Yes. Yeah. So this was made for to remember Earth Day. So we've got a running stitch. We create a smile. This is a little cushion that they can keep at home to remind themselves to always look after the planet. And inside they write a promise. So we get them to write a meaningful promise, and they put it on a piece of paper and stuff it inside with the stuffing, so that they always know that they will promise to look after the planet. They'll do their best to try their hardest to, wherever they see litter, they may pick it up. Wherever they can advance their skill set, they shall do that. And so that's just a little gentle reminder. So we are about creating positive wellness and positive attitudes towards helping the planet through sewing, and that's our mission.
I'm going to hold on to that happy planet, please.
Yes.
And just another area that you had talked about at our sustainability socials, we all got to practice some sewing, which was great. It was actually really nice to reconnect with those memories, because they are memories from the past, exactly. And I'd like to change that. But you also do a clothes swap with your students, and just everything about how you do it and what you say to the students really impacted me. Would you tell everyone about that?
Yeah, so during the kids' school holidays, they come to us for a Sew Ready camp. It's probably our most popular workshop that we run. And on the Friday of each week, we have a clothing swap where we encourage children to bring in 3 items of clothing that they may no longer wear, they don't like, or they've grown out of. So they have to be in good condition and happy enough to share it with somebody else. So then on the Friday, everybody brings in their clothes and they're super excited. They want to put them on the ground. So we have like a huge floor space in Sew Ready. So they put all their clothes on the floor and they sit beside their pile of clothes. And then I kind of start the lesson by saying, introducing them to, does everybody know what a clothing swap is? And some say yes, some say no. When I first started it, they never did, but now they've been doing it a while, they know what it is. And it's the most eagerly anticipated activity that we do. And so I ask them to share why they brought their clothes, perhaps what they've brought and why, the reason why. And so they all stand up and they give a little bit of an introduction to their clothes. They showcase their clothes, which gives them confidence as well in public speaking. So they're getting a lot more than just sewing experience. They're getting knowledge of why this is important. It's to encourage circular fashion, but also their clothes are free anyway. Their parents are paying for it. So for their mindset, this is really good to them to impart this knowledge on them now, because when they're our age, it wouldn't feel strange to share clothes and swap clothes with their peers. And so they do that. And then once they've all sped their speech, they go round and then they literally just pick up an item of clothing that they like, and then they get to try it on. They do a wee fashion show, and then they're going home wearing new clothes. So sometimes their parents are like, we didn't see you in this morning. But it's really fun. It's a really nice end to our camp as well.
And it was a beautiful addition for us to our sustainability socials, because you inspired us to try one ourselves.
Yeah.
Tracy, you were only telling me yesterday.
I was able to get one of your lovely jackets and all, so I wear it around the university, and everybody always comments on it, and I say, well, it came from Fodhla and Sustainability Social.
Because it was so beautifully embroidered. Yes. It was just yet another way to add something to one of our sessions. We're always looking for ways to spice up class. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
And over to you, Rachel, then. So tell us about what you do.
Yeah, so just as I was saying, a one-stop shop for all things kind of local and social and creative, but mostly all like very ethical and sustainably sourced and things like that. We do a lot of gifting, a lot of that being for some organisations and corporates that want to, use their purchasing power for good when they've got that little bit of budget aside for, annual gifts, not just at Christmas, other times of the year as well. And this means that, they can get a gift box. We've got various different types, and put 4 or 5 products in it, and each of them have a story, a really nice story, and in the box the recipient will receive a story card which tells you the stories behind the goods. Like all of our products here have people behind them, and that's what StoryBox is all about, and is telling those stories. So some examples include like the refuge chocolate, which is supporting survivors of human trafficking, and it's all made sustainably, and always start as they mean to go on with recyclable packaging. Our smaller businesses, I find, we have our candles, which are made by young adults with mixed abilities. Bringing them pride, purpose and opportunities in the whole craftsmanship of making the candles, to then having an end product that can be sold to general public, corporates, whoever. Myself, a stockist, getting a gorgeous product out of it, soy wax candle, and then the enterprise benefits from the revenue that's brought in, and also as a door opener to tell people about the story and spreading inclusivity, which is so important. To other products, like we have eco products, Do Your Bit, who is brilliant. We have our metallic straw sets, which you can just put in your bag, and instead of the kind of soggy papery straws, like this is a much better.
All of us who love going for milkshakes and dealing with the slightly cardboard straws, much as they try to improve them, as they get moist, they weaken. Yes. So an absolute joy is to be able to use these metallic straws that come with a little cleaner, and 2 lovely size of straws as well. So so products like this, we have the shampoo bars, which are obviously no waste and things like that, much better for going traveling and things like that, and not having liquids, and better for your hair as well. So just bringing together examples. And then like we've got the different kind of chocolate goods, consumables, where there's less wastage and things like that, like our caramel sauces and our Neary Nogs chocolate. They run their factory as much as possible off solar power and things like that. And then Devil's Churn, they're kind of a socially led organisation where they do all the markets up around the north coast, and kind of bring in rural businesses, small businesses that maybe don't have premises, and providing a platform for them. So this is their product to just kind of, a lot of the products too are raising awareness of something else and generating funds. It's all about these businesses. It's all about,
doing something socially led, but funding it themselves, if you know what I mean, through providing a product or a service. So
including your own business,
including StoryBox, which is a registered social enterprise. So, you know, our purpose have kind of got two parts: is bringing together lots of ethical, local, creative goods, you know, that are kind to people and planet, and then, you know, either sell them individually or do gift boxes. We have them in the shop, we have them online. But then also give back to our partner charity as well. So £1 for every gift box sold goes to PIP Suicide Prevention, which is a really important charity. And I just think the act of giving is always quite closely connected to mental, you know, positivity and, you know, that kind of act of doing that. And, you know, just I think the story boxes, when people choose them, you know, when the recipient receives them, like, oh, she really put a lot of thought into that, you know, which they did, because a lot of people do pick out, you know, the products that are close to their hearts or certain causes and things like that, you know,
which is beautiful, because you're showing somebody that you know them. So not only have they been seen and heard, that we were talking about, Tracy, but that they know them and they know what they like, or maybe if they need something that's gluten-free or lactose-free, or somebody who loves linen, or somebody who loves a tea towel, a really good tea towel, things like that, you know, they've carefully chosen them. Sarah, you have a lovely story of the impact of your granny. And I just want to mention that because my grandfather had a massive impact on me. When I was growing up, he actually named me. So I really resonate with that. And another speaker, another Sarah on the previous program, was talking about how it impacted her so much because her granny believed in her so much. And she has now set up a business doing what she loves in a skill set that she's great in. So tell us about your granny.
Yeah, my grandmother taught me how to sew. So she's Dutch. I am actually a quarter Dutch. But yeah, so she lives in Holland, in Eindhoven. So every summer holiday we would have flown over and spent our whole summer holiday there, which was great. So 4 weeks. And yeah, my grandmother kind of like taught me how to hand sew and machine sew from like a young age, but it was really only when I was about 17, 18 that I properly started sewing clothes. The first thing I sewed was a jacket, of all things. My grandmother was very ambitious. Yeah. She was like, oh no, we're going to make that. I was like, I want this. And she was like, okay, we'll make it. And I was like, oh, okay. But in Holland, it's just so easy to buy fabric from the cloth market. You can go and pick your buttons, your zips, all your notions and threads are just so accessible. Sewing is just like almost like a second language there. Everybody sews. And so when I was doing my dissertation and I had to look at making a business, I was coming up with a business idea. I just thought back, and we were actually traveling down to Ireland to go down for Christmas, my parents and I was just in the car and I had to come up with a business idea. Everybody else in my class had come up with theirs like easy. And I was like, what? Like I was always thinking, well, I would have really loved to have done sewing much younger, or had taken it seriously. I just thought it was a hobby or something I did on vacation, and that was that. It wasn't ever anything serious in it. And nobody else kind of around me sewed. My mom didn't, my siblings had no interest in it. And so I came up with my business idea of Sew in a Box, which is basically similar to Sew Ready. It's a sister company where you basically get everything that you need to make a project. So we're actually starting to introduce it now to Sew Ready for our smaller sewing kits. So you would literally get your fabric, your felt, your threads and your needle, and you get instructions of how to actually put this together. And that was actually a homage to my grandmother, that business, because I think if that had existed, she would have gifted it to me. Kind of like, it's almost like a story box where you get your fabrics and threads, and then that's almost like a membership each month. Lovely. And you get that.
Could be a little idea.
We were just talking about it before, collaboration.
That's great.
So, exactly. But yeah, no, my grandmother, she, sadly, she passed away this year. To me, it's great that I can keep her legacy going on. And my grandfather, he always said that I am her legacy. I've got her skill, and I'll be her legacy. And all the kids in Sew Ready know my grandmother. So yeah, it's great. And in Ulster, so she gets a lot of praise.
And we've seen lovely photographs of her as well. Yeah.
So I think she'd be very proud. And last year when we went we used to go to this place called Stoffin Spectacle. It's a massive marketplace where you can get loads of fabric, and all the market holders in Holland come and meet in one place. And I was just telling my colleague yesterday that maybe next year we can go on a business trip to get some fabric, because
superb,
so she was buying fabrics for the kids and everything too, and so ready. So she thought it was an amazing idea. So it's something that I'm very proud of. So.
And it was a lovely point of learning for me, was looking at skills deficit. That you were explaining to me that your area of sustainability is addressing a skills deficit as opposed to a particular product, but it was teaching people the skills that would of course involve then the product or result in a product. But I'm recalling numerous industries from Northern Ireland, of course, the linen and the threads, but even I'm thinking of the shipbuilding, or of the original Guinness production down south. There's a lot of the skills of making barrels, for example, that are now in the museums and the history. So I'm hoping, because these are becoming more and more niche, so I'm hoping that, just like your business, that these other niche areas will stop being niche areas.
Well, exactly.
And because we get so much enjoyment out of doing it as well, Sarah.
Well, that's it. There's so much. I say it's joyful sewing, and the thing is with machine sewing and hand sewing, there is such a need for it, because we closed all the mills and the factories. We really did lose those skills, and actually now people are looking for sustainable options and where to buy. They're looking at local suppliers. There's Kindred of Ireland, who makes their products here. There's Beaufort Interiors, who literally have to turn down contracts for cruise ships because they don't have enough people to sew for them, because people don't have the skill set. And even when I did my findings for my degree, there is a gap there. University students are going to uni and doing a fashion degree, and they've never sewn before. You're enrolling on a degree that it's as crazy as going and doing medicine and never having studied biology. And that's where we come into play. We're meant to be a gateway between that, so that we can almost start from them they're young, build their skill set from 6 years old up, so that when they go on to university, they've got a stance to say, I want to study fashion. And then their careers advisors are maybe saying, previously the findings showed that they were always to have a backup route, because it wasn't as viable, but also that actually where they're starting, even those graduates who are going through university are getting say, from my example myself, I got a first class honours, it's meant to be high, but actually we're still not ready for industry, and therefore there's a gap. So we're trying to intervene and bridge that skills gap now, show how to do a running stitch, show the basics of sewing, how to sew straight lines, how to do, quilting on, say, making our own kite, how to do, curved lines, how to work on construction. And they are actually making more complicated things at the moment. My class are making their own jumpers. So we're that's called mini stitches, and it's dressmaking for children. And we're doing so much with them. And now if we can interject those skills now, that will, I hope, and what my aim is that they will hone a love for sewing, and that will continue with them through life, just like I.
And just like baking, don't kids are often making Rice Krispie buns or whatever at home?
But it's just those small things that gives them encouragement and joy and fulfillment.
And helps them to become more creative as well and problem solve. So my grandmother and my mother also taught me to hand sew and then machine sew whenever I was 6 as well. And it was something, I had a younger sister, and my mum was always like, you have to put everything away and all, because she'll put it in her mouth and all. And so then I was sort of like, oh, well, I have to keep this separate and all. But now most people know that I hand sew and I machine sew, and I run a craft pod, and I take part in repair workshops. And last month I went to a business, and they asked if I could do a team building event with them, and they wanted to do a repair workshop. And I said, well, I'm only one person, so, and it's over, like an hour and a half, so there'll be certain things that I can do and can't do and all, but I wanted everybody coming out of it, whether they had something to repair or not, to learn how to sew a running stitch and also a button.
Yeah.
And so 4 guys and 6 girls all left with being able to,
That's
one skill at least to be able to sew a button.
That's very good.
That's wonderful, isn't it? Yeah, that output's important, that we to be able to see the work of our hands. I remember when I was doing my PhD, that was one of the hardest things, was that you never saw your work because you were constantly writing onto a computer. So you never had evidence of 3 years of work, So sometimes we used to just print it on recycled paper just so you could see you have done something, I'm going to end up with a question for all of you, and it's the question is this. So if you had a message for the audience of this program, what would it be?
Yeah, well, obviously my message is about, trying to obviously support local, but also, those businesses that are doing a wee bit more to give back as well, like our social enterprises, and even just if you can, like, other times in the year than seasonal, a lot of our small businesses, we really jump on the seasonal times and stuff, and it can be hard not always having that steady flow of income all year round for the businesses. So it's just being creative in other ways that you can maybe have a local business, whether it's organising a small business workshop. We're now hosting workshops by getting a small business person in. Maybe you don't have need for gifts, but you could do something a bit like yourselves there, really creative. Sarah, you come in and do a workshop, or Tracy, and getting people in and that sort of thing. Or else, if there is something you're doing around the year, like that is a little event or whatever, like is there maybe one business you could support at that, even invite them in, get a little bit of a story about them if there's some sort of connection. Maybe it's a wellbeing event and there's a wellbeing business. I think that would be my message. There is some amazing local business out there. But yeah, hopefully then it leads on to seeing and learning about others. So yeah, that's
and the entrepreneurial spirit, of course, which is strong in Northern Ireland, that we have that great creativity and love for materials and love for food and all of that creative expression. So
we want to keep it going.
Yeah, want to keep it going,
and
that's the lovely thing about your stock, is that it's constantly changing and moving. And then as a result of that, your providers are also growing as businesses as well, and providing needs, providing skills and need opportunities, for other people.
Absolutely.
So thank you for your work,
Thank
Rachel.
you.
Sarah.
I would just say to everybody, try to be as creative as possible in whatever it is that you do. If it's just, if it's at home, but yeah, I suppose with Sew Ready, if anybody was interested in learning more about sewing, you can always look at our website, sewready.org. And yeah, it's just about having fun and enjoying the process. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work or if it doesn't fit you. I've done a whole class and their shorts didn't fit anybody and it was totally wrong, but they learnt the process and they enjoyed the process. And I think it's about creating those tangible experiences and memories.
And memories, indeed.
I think that's the most important thing. So.
And yourself, Tracy?
Well, I'm very excited to have met Rachel and Sarah, and just how fantastic, all local businesses are with your vision and just being able to follow your passion and all. So one of the areas that I'm looking at is collaborative partnerships as part of my research. How do we connect people, whether it's the businesses or it's the research at the university or even with government bodies as well. So if anybody is interested in speaking to me about creative arts and sustainability, and we'd like to be part of the research, I'd be very happy to hear from you. So I'm based at Ulster University in York Street.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's a great opportunity for businesses, because a lot of times it's just hard to know where to start, and we've got the answers. Yes. Wonderful. Thank you very much for watching our programme on social sustainability, based on a series of events, sustainability socials, that we ran at Ulster University at our new campus on York Street in Belfast, and that was part of our Ulster University Business School. Remember that Looking after our environment and our people, our humankind, is up to us all. We're all responsible, including you. And I hope that these two programs have given you numerous ideas of ways that you can look after your people and your planet, as well as introducing you to some amazing businesses that you can support to do that. Thank you very much.